Right, it's time to recap House of Dragon Season 2, which shouldn't take us too long because not much happened. What do we need to know? There is a civil war between two branches of the Targaryen household. You've got the Blacks, which is Rhaena, the rightful queen, according to some, and then you got the Greens, which is Aegon. Or is it Alicent? Who knows? Just look at the poster and you decide. So what actually went down in that first episode, if you remember? Well, it's all kicking off, isn't it? Because Rhaenyra's son got killed by Aemond. So the war is definitely going to happen. No, it's not. It's not going to happen at all. Instead, Rhaenyra's going to be a bit sad, and she's going to go and say, we need to go and get Aemond Targaryen, which leads to the one decent plot point of that first episode, which is the blood and cheese thing, where Aegon's son, who we just met now, has been killed. Tragic, I know. And turns out Aegon, who, if you remember back in season 1, was a bit of a weird sex pest, rapey, I'm going to watch my bastard sons get in a fight. Turns out he's actually trying to be a good king now, because all that character development we didn't have, we've just kind of had to speedrun in this one episode. And now he's really quite sad. Alicent, who's meant to be like this Machiavellian, manipulating everything, if you remember, is now actually this sort of clueless, a bit sad that Team Boy is all about Team Boy, and he's a bit sad that no one's really listening to her. She believes that her husband wanted Aegon to be king, so therefore she's morally right to do this. Unlike in the books, where she was just manipulating it from the start and had been more interested in Ryan. Rhaenyra is gutted, and then Daemon, her lovely uncle/husband, he decides that yes, we need to go to Harrenhal. But Rhaenyra's a bit, I don't really know if I want to go to war, even though it did seem like we wanted to go to war 2 episodes ago. So then Daemon, they have this big domestic, it's like the marriage story, it's the one good scene of really the whole season. He decides to fly off to Harrenhal. Harrenhal, we can summarise now. It starts off really cool, it's really exciting. We think Daemon's going to be learning how to be a leader, dealing with the River Lords, dealing with his past, and Alice Rivers is here, that cool character from the history book that we read a few years ago. But turns out it really is just a constant Daemon just having flashbacks, Alice Rivers going, oh, aren't I a bit strange? And it's just that for 4 or 5 episodes. Daemon slowly thinking he should just be king, even though that doesn't make any sense except to him and no one else in the room. And then he touches George R. R. Martin's forehead, gets a whole sort of history, bit of a Bloodraven cameo, and goes, actually, I am meant to be a good husband. And really just kind of goes back to where he was at the start, but now feels a little bit more committed to her. It took us roughly 6 episodes to get what could have been done in 2 episodes, but we're stretching everything out. This is season 2. Season 1 was told over decades. Season 2 is a few weeks that feels like decades. It's really great. Daemon's out the way. We're done. What's Rhaenyra up to? Well, Rhaenyra is sort of sitting around, not sure what she's meant to be doing, because everyone is telling her what she should be doing, but she's not doing anything. What she's definitely sure on is she doesn't want to go to war, because war's something men do, and she's just not in for that war stuff at all. Episode 2, it's the death of poor Jaehaerys, that boy. Gutted. His head, we think it's going to fall off the carriage, but it doesn't fall off the carriage. It's just his poor mum, poor Rhaena, the Luna Lovegood of all this situation. She's just gutted that her son/nephew is dead, and she just can't bear it. But she kind of gets over it eventually, you know. It's only her son. She has got a daughter after all. Aegon is also very gutted that his poor son's died, but his mum just can't seem to comfort it. She's too busy running about Kristen Cole's pole, because there's that famous bit when Rhaena came running into the room, she still was giving it a little bit of a rock before she went, fine, I'll have to deal with this Rhaena situation. So everyone is kind of just in a bit of a standstill. Aegon, though, decides that he's really tired of no plot points actually happening. So he gets Arryk or Erryk, one of those twin guards, to go kill his brother who's with Rhaenyra. So it seems like a really dumb, stupid plan. And he also makes Kristen Cole his hand of the king. He says, my new hand is a steel fist. And he gets rid of his grandfather, because his grandfather, Otto Hightower, was like, hey, let's not go to war. We just need a claim. And if we get the most claimants, there won't be a war, because Rhaenyra will go, wow, biggest dragon, biggest army, I better just simply bow down and let it be. But Aegon is pissed off, rightfully pissed off, because his son just got his head chopped off. So he wants to go and kill his sister. Sister he's had probably 10 seconds of screen time with, and it doesn't really feel like there's much of a rivalry between these two. Instead, it's really about 2 girls who were once friends and maybe had a crush on each other 20 years ago, and it's still really just about them and not the sibling rivalry. So he goes and sends that twin off. They have a decent fight, but they both end up dying crying because, they can't bear that one brother died and the other one has to kill himself. It's ever so sad. So Rhaenyra, a bit shocked now that maybe this war stuff, what's she going to do? So she comes up with this brilliant idea where she decides to go and sneak into King's Landing, the enemy stronghold, and goes and meet Alicent in the church, because Alicent's really into their old religion. And that's where they have this moment of, hey, is there any way we could not do this? Alicent realises that her husband, when he said Aegon, he was talking about Aegon the Conqueror and not her Aegon. And the whole time it was just a mistake. And really Aegon wasn't meant to be king. And Alicent wasn't really manipulating everything for the past 10 years. Because Team Green are really quite weird. They knew they were going to do this. Alicent wanted to do this. And everyone on that council wanted to do this. But the one thing they didn't do was make sure Aegon knew it. And Aegon was like learning to be king. So Aegon is kind of useless. And they seem okay with that. They just kind of want to have the council while he's just there spinning his ball. So then we get into episode 4 and things are getting a little bit boring for everyone. It's boring for Aegon. It's boring for Rhaenyra. And you know what? It's boring for the sea snake. Because the sea snake, the whole season, by the way, I'll quickly get the sea snake out of the way for you, don't worry. He's on the docks fixing his boat so he can go back to where he just came from. But while he's there, every episode we're reminded that he has 2 bastard sons who he has a bit of a weird relationship with. And one of them just keeps seeing sea smoke, that grey dragon. I wonder where we're going to go with that. That's basically where the sea snake is. He has 2 bastard sons he doesn't really have much of a relationship with. That's the arc there. We go from there. Aemond, my favourite character. I love Aemond. He's like a weird little edgelord. I'm really cool, but I'm also kind of weak. I'm still that scared little boy inside. Well, he's decided he wants to be the guy. His nephew's dead, and now he's only got his brother to worry about. So we get to probably the highlight, and that is the Rook rest situation. Rhaenyra is spared of any such ill decision here, and good old Rhaenys, the queen that never was, she decides to go and fly to Rook's Rest. And the plan is, by Team Green, who are marching up to try and control the Riverlands, because the Riverlands are vital. We'll go into Rook's Rest, and then, Aemond has stepped out his trap card, and he's got Vhagar there, good old Granny Vhagar, and she's going to kill what they were hoping for was Rhaenyra, but it's Rhaenys. That's okay, because it's a dragon. We're going to get the dragon off the board. But no one expected that Aegon, because no one communicated with Aegon what they were doing, that he would rock up. So Aegon rocks up on Sunfire, the most beautiful dragon, looks so cool, but has never fought a day in its life, and absolutely bottles it. And Aemond, seeing opportunity, doesn't back up his brother, because Team Green are just dickheads, you see. There's no nuance of loyalty to my brother, or love for my brother. No. Team Green bad, Team Black good. Aemond's like, fuck my brother, waits to come in, comes in like Godzilla, burns his brother, bursts his penis, and his brother's all fucked and burnt. The armor's sort of melted on him, but then he manages to kill Rhaenys. He keeps popping up out of nowhere. They've done that twice now. It'd be interesting if in another season we go, Vhagar's going to pop up out of nowhere, and then, fake out. And that's it. Great, a dragon's been killed, we've done it. Kristen Cole, who's kind of going through a bit of a crisis of faith, was shagging Rhaenyra, and now he's shagging the Dowager Queen, and he's cut his hair because the actor had to go to a different show. He's just not feeling like himself of late. And now he's having to deal with that twat, the Swede, that actor who's just really good at being a twat, her brother. So they take the dragon head back, and turns out that bit of marketing that he thought would be really good for people at King's Landing isn't that great. They're not too thrilled about it. The dragons are meant to be gods, and now the gods are dead. And Aegon has now been put there and has to be put to rest. He might never wake up. So then Alicent goes to Team Boy and thinks, I should be the regent because we're not sexist here. But they go, no, the whole point of our side is that the male takes over from the woman. So Aemond is the logical next in line. So he will be regent until Aegon wakes up. And Aemond's incredibly pleased about this, where Alicent isn't. She doesn't feel like she's being listened to. Because now her dad's gone, her son, who did sort of listen to her, is no longer available. And Aemond actually has an idea of what he wants to do. He's actually trying to rule and be in charge, which is fair enough to him. Now, undercurrent all of this, there are a few silver-haired people in King's Landing who are going through their struggles. And every episode, we've been reminded that they're struggling. We've got Hugh the Hammer, who hasn't got any money, and his daughter's feeling a bit poorly, and she's a bit hungry. And we get reminded of that every episode. Then we got Ulf White. Now, we met Ulf White every now and again. He crops up every episode. He saw the rat catchers, and we thought, that extra got a line that day. Good for him. But then, turns out Ulf White's a bit of a Jack the Lag, bit of a Del boy, and he's kind of selling this story that he's a bastard son of one of the Targaryen princesses because Jaehaerys had like a shitload of daughters. He's here going, yeah, I'm one of them too. And we're just constantly getting reminded of this, but don't you worry about it. We're just being reminded of it. It's fine. The show's really good at reminding you of simple plot points throughout all 8 episodes. Rhaenyra is now horrified to learn that Rhaenyra's dead. So what she does is nothing. She sits there and thinks, what am I going to do? So she goes through her library. She's a bit annoyed that her uncle husband isn't replying to her. So she goes through the library, because that library set is so good, we better put some scenes in that fucker. And she realises that there's a chance, potentially, that we could get more dragon riders, because there's all these great dragons down at the bottom of the mountain. We just need some dragon riders. So at first they go to her Kingsguard, the Darkland fella, because his grandma or something was the Targaryen, and we think, oh great, Sea Smoke's accepts him. No, Sea Smoke burns him. So then she goes to Jace, her heir. I know what we need to do. We need to get the bastards, all these Dragonseeds. Jace is a bit annoyed because he's a bit sensitive about the fact that he's a bastard, but one of his big points was Aemond had to go and claim his own dragon, where Jace's dragon hatched in the cradle with him, making him feel a bit more legit. So now he's worried if all these random bastards come and get a dragon, then what's so special about him? But don't worry about it. Really don't worry about that, Jace. She manages to sneak them out of King's Landing, and all they're on like a audition boot camp. If you get to have a dragon, you better make sure you're on my side. No one thinks this is a good idea, but desperate times calls for desperate measures. And really, Rhaenyra, whenever she makes a choice, is just right. Rhaenyra is never challenged ever on her rule. Whenever she makes a decision, it's definitely right. Don't stress about it. So she gets all these randoms in, and it's kind of like this Jurassic Park Godzilla situation, but some dragons do get claimed. This is because earlier the sea snake's bastard son got Sea Smoke. So now Hugh the Hammer has got Vermithor, who was old good King Jaehaerys's, and then Ulf White has got Vermithor's girlfriend. So hey, that's great. We have powered up. There's a Power Ranger shot. Aemon's looking awfully scared because now Vhagar ain't that much with all these big dragons rocking about. We're going to go to war now, aren't we? No. We're not going to go to war at all, actually. Instead, Rhaenyra is hoping by powering up, it would do this Cold War. Like, you ain't going to do anything. I'm not going to do anything. That's it. We kind of hang around a little bit now instead of kicking off. Every time you think it's going to kick off, it doesn't kick off. Daemon, if you remember, is still kind of pottering about because we need to put Daemon on pause while everyone else catches up to him. Because in the book this is from, Daemon's plotline is 1 paragraph. So we have to make that paragraph 7 episodes. And this is when it gets kind of weird. Aemond is enjoying being king a bit, and he really wants everyone to march up to Harrenhal and kill Daemon. Because if we control the Riverlands, we're just in charge, and it'll be great. But Rhaenyra is really getting angsty about the fact that Daemon's not getting back to her. After she kisses the White Worm, because she just feels a little bit lonely, she then flies over to Daemon and basically confirms that they're all together again, and it's all going to be just fine. Meanwhile, the Sea Snake has finally finished the docks and is ready to go boating because Team Green have sent that Lannister twat, and he's went over there to the Triarchy to form an alliance with them. He has a bit of a mud wrestling match, gets the pirates on side, and the pirates are now going to go off to meet the Sea Snake's army, and they're going to have a bit of a fight. I'm sure it's going to be really, really good, and hopefully we get to see it and there is no delay. There is, of course, the matter of Rhaena. So you got Rhaenyra, Rhaenys, and Rhaena. And Rhaena, the whole time, we've been reminded, doesn't have a dragon, but desperately wishes she had a dragon. So she gets sent to the Vale with her 2 younger brothers. They're really annoyed, the Vale are, because turns out the 2 dragons they were promised are baby dragons. So even though it's technically dragons, it's not what they were after. Rhaena takes about 3 episodes to discover her own dragon, because thankfully, a dragon just happens to be in the Vale. It flew over there to get some sheep, because it's stealing sheep. Rhaena's arc is she wanted a dragon, and now she's found a dragon. That's really nice for her. Jace, he's been so gutted. He started off really well, Jace. He was keen. He was learning. He was leading. Then he's just kind of sitting around. Jace goes over to the twins and makes an alliance with the twins because he wants to make sure that his Grey Wolf Stark army can make their way over. So Jace's been doing all these good little decisions, but we don't really get to see it. We don't really get to see a lot of cool things in this season. A lot of things you think could be expanded on or learnt from, we don't really get to see. By the end of it, we are where we were at the end of season 1, with everybody just about ready to start going to war, really, properly this time. I nearly forgot. Of course. How silly of me to forget. It's Alicent. Remember how Alicent, she's so gutted that she's not involved? Well, she spends 1 episode trying to reconnect with all her kids. It's like a sitcom. It's like a B-plot in a sitcom. She asks after the son we have never met. The son that if you're a casual viewer, you're like, who the fuck is this? But yeah, it turns out there is another son who's grown up in the High Tower, and his name is Daemon the Good. And we get to see him on his dragon, the purple one, at the very end. But she just feels so out of it. So when King's Landing's on lockdown, remember that, she leaves King's Landing. understanding because, lockdown doesn't count for her. And she goes and has like an Ophelia moment. And she looks up and she realises in that moment that, of course, I need to betray my whole family for Rhaenyra, my girlhood crush. So she sneaks onto Dragonstone, which is like a 300-mile boat ride. She goes to Rhaenyra and says, look, I'm really sorry, but I'm going to open up the gates for you and you can kill all my family except Helaena, because Helaena hasn't done anything. And you're right, Rhaenyra, because Rhaenyra can only be right. Even though I love my sons and love my family and I'm a mother and I've planned for this, I actually, don't care. So it ends with that. It ends with Rhaenyra being certain that she can actually go do it. She's united with her uncle husband. Her best friend for a few years back when they were teenagers has agreed to let her whole family die so Rhaenyra can sit on this fucking throne. But first, there's this pesky business of going to war. So Daemon's got to deal with the land army of the Lannisters. We're going to have this thing on the gullet. And it's all going to kick off. Promise. Really, truthfully this time, it's going to kick off. We really do swear. Really not much happened. Everyone was just sort of on pause. Hopefully, this has been informative for you. Give me a like and subscribe. Thanks. Goodbye.